Alright, Uniform Code of Operating Rules effective May 1st, 1950. Alright, Uniform Code of Operating Rules effective May 1st, 1950. The rules herein govern the operation of these railroads and must be complied with by all employees whose duties are in any way affected thereby. This supersedes all the previous rules, instructions, and consent in consistence therewith, and special instructions may be issued by proper authority. Arkansas Memphis Railway Bridge and Terminal Company, Burlington Rock Island Railroad Company, Rock Island Lines, Galveston Houston Henderson Railroad, the Houston Belt Terminal, the Midland Valley Railroad, Kansas Oklahoma Gulf Railroad, Oklahoma City 80 Ataka Railroad, Missouri Illinois Railroad, Missouri Kansas Texas Missouri Pacific Lines, Southern Illinois Missouri Bridge Company, St. Joseph Belt Railway, St. Louis Southwestern Airlines, Texas and Pacific Railway, Texas Pacific Missouri Pacific Terminal or RRR for the New Orleans, Union Railway Memphis, Union Terminal Railway St. Joseph's. Alright, general notice, safety of the first importance. The safety is of the first importance in the discharge of duty. Obedience in the rules, essential safety to enter the remaining of the service assurance with willingness to obey rules. Service to demand faithful, intelligent, courtesy discharge of duty to obtain promotion. Ability may be shown with greater responsibility. Suggestion for the employees intended to promote safety, economy, improve service are solicited will receive consideration. The public judge of the railroad by appearance and conduct, employees, quality, service condition of the properties. Courtesy, consideration, treatment, and patrons is in the first important retaining, increasing our value of the business. All governors are exempt of opportunity for the employment in the railroad. General rules. A. Employees whose duties are prescribed by these rules provide themselves with a copy. Employees must have a proper understanding, working knowledge, obey all rules, instructions, whatever form is issued applicable in effecting these duties. If in doubt of the meaning, employees must apply to the proper officer for explanation. When the properly authorized, the rules may be canceled or superseded or changed by a general order or special instruction in the timetable or in pamphlet form or a pastor in the book of forms. C. Employees subject there must pass the railroad required examinations, must attend examination, re-examination, quiz classes, and instruction classes. Employees must report the proper officer of a violation of the rules, instruction, any condition of the practice with it may imperil safety of the trains and passengers. Employees, any misconduct, negligence affecting the interests of the railroad. Employees must render assistance in their power and in the carrying out the rules of instruction. Courtesy, cooperation must be employees required with the proper function under the rules and instruction. In the case of fire may be communicated to a bridge or other structure. They must stop and assist the extinguish the fire. The conductor will call an attention of the engine man promptly to any of the fires started by the engine. Request inspection of fire prevention appliance. Employees must report the proper officer quickest available means of communication. The details of accidents, failure of the motive power, failure in the supply of water or fuel. Alright, defects in the trackage bridge signals are any of the unusual condition may affect the movement of the trains. Required reports with the proper form must follow promptly. The use of intoxication, narcotics is prohibited. Possession of intoxication and narcotics while on duty is prohibited. The use of tobacco employees on duty while serving patrons at the passenger station or passenger cars is prohibited. Employees on duty must wear the prescribed badge uniform and be neat and accuracy. K. In the case of danger, loss of damage of railroad property by fire or theft thereof the causes, employees must unite to protect it. They must exercise the care of the use of the railroad property while leaving in service. They must return property lost to their care. Property of the railroad include freight articles of value found on the cars on the right-of-way must be carried on and properly reported. No any way disposed or removed of the company premises railway right of the way without first securing the proper authority. Employees are forbidden to make changes to the service provided in line of duty or permit discrimination. Unless specifically authorized, employees must not use credit of the railroad, must neither use the receive nor pay out of money on the railroad's accounts. Switch key furnished employees whose duties require their use will be used only with a lawful intent by such employees performing of their duties. L. Constant presence of mind to ensure the safety of themselves. Other primary duty also applies all employees, and they must exercise They must exercise care to avoid injuring themselves or others. They must observe condition and equipment of the tools which they use them perform their duties. When found with a defective will and practicable, put them in safe condition, report defects on the proper authority. They must use themselves at locations, structures, obstructions with the clearance of closes. When employees are not or near the tracks, they must expect the movement of the trains, engines, cars at any time of any of the track in in either direction. In furtherance, the hours of service and laws of the employees and admonishment by the time of the duty, and primarily obtaining the ample rest and courtesy of the department is required for all the employees for the dealing with the public and subordinates and each other. Employees who are careless in safety or the safety of themselves, other negligent or subordinate, dishonest, immoral, quarrelsome, or otherwise vicious, who do not conduct themselves in such a manner that handle the proper personal obligations in such a way that the railroad will not subject to criticism of loss of goodwill, will be maintained and retained in the service. Employees must not enter into altercations, play practical jokes, scuffle, or wrestle on company property. They must show that on time slips and time books, payroll, required information as to work actually performed. Employees whose duties are prescribed by these rules, if discharged, will not be reemployed without approval of the proper officer. Employees are under jurisdiction officers of the division on the service is being performed. Alright, Q. The employees must report the appointed time devoted to themselves exclusively to their duties, must not be absent themselves, not exchange duties with a substitute other than in place without proper authority. Passenger trainmen in the uniform must remain in proper attendance to the train and the terminals until passengers are on and off unless removed with the connecting crew. Train engine and yardmen must not, while on duty, read magazines, newspapers, or other literature not concerning their work. Employees entrusted with books and waybills, statistics, records of the railroad must not permit unauthorized persons to access thereto, and nor in any manner divulge of the affairs of the railroad and patrons to such unauthorized person. The disclosure of an information contained with the file of the railroad privilege and confident reports must not be made with the authority of the proper officer of the railroads, as in order to avoid error and misunderstanding, to prevent fraud and imposition upon employees and persons who merely seek to use misfortune of others' profit to themselves, employ the forbidden to give them statements or other information, accidents, the circumstances thereof, to those representatives of the railroad whose duty is in assert and give and gather the facts. Alright, the rule does not apply for the case of injury and death of employees. In those cases, information as facts may be given to the person of the interest. Alright, T. The employees whose duties are connected with the movement of the train's engine of the cars must familiarize themselves with the ruling of the governing duties, others as well as themselves. 8. Must be prepared in case of emergency to act in capacity and ensure safety. While rules are subdivided in conveniency, they apply equally to all, must be observed, and whether they relate in any way of the proper discharge of the duties of an employee. When applicable, designation of the trainman in any rule will include yardman, designation conductor will include engine foreman, designation engineer will include holsters. Designation of engine man, 2 words, includes the engineers, firefighters, holster helpers, and when applicable. The term flagman in any rule refers to an employee whose designation to whom their term flagman is applicable under the rules governing flag protection. Definitions: engine. The unit propelled by any form of the energy combination of such units operated with a single control using the train yard, service the train engine, or more than one engine coupled with or without cards displaying markers. Regular train, a train authorized by the timetable schedule section, 1 or 2 more trains running on the same schedule displaying signals for which the symbols are displayed. Extra train, a train not authorized by timetable schedule, it may be designated as extra for extra train except for the passenger extra and work extra. Passenger extra for passenger extra, work extra for work extra. Superior train, a train having precedence over another train. Train of the superior right, a train given precedence by a train order. A train of superior class, a train given precedence by timetable. Train by superior direction, a train given by the president's direction specified by the timetable is between opposing trains of the same class. Timetable. Timetable, the authority of the movement of the regular train, subject to the rules and special instructions. Schedule the part of the timetable which prescribes such classes numbered in the movement of the regular train. Division, the portion of the railroad assigned with the supervision of a student. The division is the portion of the railroad assigned with the supervision of a superintendent. Subdivision, a portion of the division designed by a timetable. Main track, a track extending from the yards between the stations upon which the trains operated with the timetable, the train order, or both, using the governed block signals. A single track of the main track on which trains are operated with both directions. Two or more tracks, two or more main tracks. No definitions of two or more tracks. And two or more main tracks in the territory rules governing the opposing and the following the movements block signals apply. Such tracks are designated south track and north track, where timetable directions eastward and westward respectively. East track and west track timetable directions northward and southward respectively. Where there are more than two tracks, they may be designated by numbers. For example, track number 1 and track number 2. Alright, your current of traffic. The movement of the trains on the main track in one direction, unspecified by the rules. Station, a place designated on a timetable by name. Citing a track auxiliary with the main track meeting with the passing train. Fixed signal, fixed location, indication of the condition affected by the movement of the train engine. Note the definition of fixed signal. The definition of fixed signal covers the signals of which switch, train order, block, interlocking, semaphore, stop signal, yard limit signs, restricted speed signs, resumed speed signs, and other means for displaying indication govern the movement of the train engine. Yard. A yard engine is a simple track which define limits of where the much movements may be made subject to prescribed by signals and rules and special instruction. Yard engine, an engine assigned to yard service, a pilot. Any employee assigned with the train with an engineer or conductor, both not fully acquainted with the physical characteristics of the rules for the railroad and a portion of the railroad over which the train is to be moved. Or your train register, a book of form which may be used at the designation of the station of the registered signals displayed the time and the arrival and departure of the train, such other information as prescribed. Your registration station, a station in which the train registered located at medium speed and speed noticing not exceeding 30 miles per hour. This reduction speed proper prepared to stop short of the train engine obstruction switch not properly lined. Low speed, a speed will permit the stopping short of the train engine obstruction which switch are not properly lined and locking out of the broken rail not exceeding 15 miles per hour. Your automatic block system, a series of consecutive blocks governed by block signals, cab signals, both actuated by the train engine in certain conditions affecting the use of the blocks. ABS is an abbreviation for automatic block signal. Remote control, a term applied to the system operating outline switches signal appliances from the designated point. Dual control switch, a power operated switch that is also equipped with that for hand operation signal. Spring switch is a switch equipped with a spring so that it runs out of the trailing movement switch position to return to the original position. Interlocking arrangement with signal and signal appliances interlock for their movements must succeed each other in proper sequence for which the interlockings are in effect. It may be operated manually and automatically. Interlocking limits the train between the absolute signals of an interlocking station place which an interlock is operated. A block, a length of the track is defined limits using of the train engines governed by the block signals, cab signals, or both. Block signal is a fixed signal with the entrance of the block to govern the trains or engines entering the use of the block. Interlocking signal fixed signals of an interlocking cab signals, a signal located with the engineer compartment of the cab indicating the condition affecting with the movement of the train engine used in conjunction with interlocking signals in conjunction with lieu of the block signal. Absolute signal is a block interlocking signal designed by an A marker with an absence of the number plate. The approach signal is a fixed signal used in connection with one or more signals to govern the approach to thereto. Absolute block, a block with only one train or engine at the time is permitted. Control station, a space for which the remote control switches and signal appliances are operated. Control operator, an employee in change of the control of the station. Note the definition of control operator when it's prescribed. The train dispatcher will perform the duties of the control operator. Alright, operating rules. Note that rules prefixed with the S are single track and prefixed with a D are two or more tracks. Rules without prefixes for the signal for single or two or more tracks. The prefix is S and D and are printed in italics. Standard time obtained by the Washington D. observation transmitted to all points of the designated office 11 a.m. Central Time, 10 a.m. Mountain Time daily. Watch inspection. Instruction issued by the proper office of Governor Time. Service watches have been examined and certified to be designed by the inspector must be used for such officers and employees are designated with such instruction. Officers and employees required with the standard watches must be, unless expected with the special instructions, submit the watches for the inspection once each calendar month, but not less than 20 nor more than 40 days should elapse between each inspection. They must sign the inspection record. When watches employees subject to the standard time and rules are found at any time to be 30 seconds or more of the standard time, they must be set to the correct time. Time comparison. Standard clocks must be bear signing a standard clock at the location will be shown in special instructions when standard clocks are available. Watch trains of the dispatcher, conductor, engineer, holster, engine, fireman must be compared with the standard clock before commencing each day's work or trip. Time when watches are compared must be registered on prescribed form. Conductors, engine holsters, engine men, foremen, training operation, whose duties particularly to access substituted standard clock must obtain the time from the train dispatcher or compare and regulate watches daily with those of the conductors, engineers who have standard time that have registered as provided when practical. Conductors or engine foremen, engineers who are compared times with each other, and the trainmen and the yardmen, firemen may commencing each of the day's work trip. Or your timetables. Changing on timetables. Each timetable is from the movement in the time of the fact supersedes the preceding of the timetable to schedule the time of the fact of any subdivision with leaving the time of the initial station with the subdivision, but when a schedule for preceding time corresponds number, class, day, leaving, direction, initial, and terminal stations with a schedule a new time, the timetable of the train authorized with the preceding timetable retains its train orders and assumes the schedule of the corresponding number of the new timetable. Timetable schedules, unless filled out, in effect of 12 hours after the time in each station. Schedules division date of the initial station on subdivisions. Not more than one schedule in the same number in the day that shall be in effect in subdivision. Note Rule 4. Day leaving is the day of the week of which the schedule authorizing the train to leave the initial station of the subdivision. 4A. Notice of the new timetable. Notice for the new timetable must be issued with a general order of at least 24 hours prior to the taking effect. The train order of the Form Q issued 24 hours prior to or from 6 days after it takes effect. The conductors and engineer and yard master when required 2-yard engines. Alright, yard masters must know how to holster. Engine foremen and the yard engineers are possession of the new timetable before it takes effect. The copies must be furnished to all agents and operators, roundhouse foremen, bridge, building, signal, water supervisors, service supervisor, foremen, roadmaster, track supervisors, track foremen, and signal maintainers. 4B. Position of the current timetable. The employees whose duties are in any way affected by the timetable must copy with the current time and special instructions supplementary to the Uniform Code when in issue with the pamphlet form while then the duty performed starting any subdivision upon which they have not been running when absent 6 days or longer. Train or engine men must know that they have the current timetable. Train engines must not occupy main track after the effective date of the new timetable until the crews have been received the copies of the new timetable. 5. When time applies, no matter the two times are given at the train at the any station, which one is given except the train station, the leaving time, where the two that they are arriving and leaving time. A train must not leave the station, including the station in the territory where rules are governing movement of the train's engines or block signals are in effect advance of the scheduled leaving time. Trains that are scheduled to receive discharged passengers for the traffic at the station must not leave at the point where the traffic is received discharged before the timetable is scheduled. Scheduled meeting of the passing stations are indicated with the figures in full face type. The number of the trains to be met and passed may be shown with a small figure. Adjacent sidings and their capacity will be designated by the timetable, general order, and special instruction unless otherwise specified in train order, special instruction, schedule, and train orders. Time applies. On a single track, the siding switch where the opposing train clears the main track, whether there are no siding that applies at the station. Exemption. The time for first class trains are at initial termination station of the schedule applies at the station. The time second inferior class trains initial station schedule applies leaving switch of the siding or yard. There's no designated siding. If there's no designated siding. Likewise, the termination station of the schedule such that the time applies that the first switch siding or off yard is not designated siding. On two or more tracks at the station, the General Orders Special Instructions General Orders will be numbered consecutively, being the January 1st of each year will be issued with the canceled and superintended with the designated officer will expire with the calendar year, supersede any rule and special instruction within that conflict. Train energy yard employees, train dispatchers, and other employees whose duties require most familiarize themselves with the general orders and other notices before commencement of each day's trip or day's work. Conductors, engineer, and engine foreman must record information prescribed from indication. They that have the reading and understand general orders are responsible for compliance with the location general orders designated with special instruction. Special instruction and the timetable when issued in pamphlet form supersede any rule with which they conflict. 7. Are signals and their use. 7. Ready for use. Employees whose duties may require them to give a signal provided themselves with proper appliance and keep them with a good order ready to immediate use. Prescribed signals. Signals are prescribed by color and type of flags and lights prescribed must be used for the day and lights proceeding with the color and type of the night. And 9. Night and day signals. Night signals must be used from the sunrise to sunset to sunrise when day signals cannot be plainly seen. Alright, 10. Color signals. Red means stop unless otherwise prescribed in the rules. Lunar, proceed at a lower speed. Yellow, proceed at restricted speed for other use of the prescribed rules. Green, proceed for other use of prescribed rules. White, to stop any train at any flag station indicated on its schedule and for the use of prescribed by these rules. And blue, see Rule 26. Alright, 10G, temporary speed restriction sign. Temporary speed restriction sign resumes speed signs with place in both directions. Maintenance for employee when necessary to require for the engine temporary with reduce the speed over any uncertain portion of the track. See chart 1, page 130. When so displayed, the train's engines must not exceed 10 miles an hour per hour. Unless otherwise directed by the train or general order. The speed prescribed by the maintainer until the rear of the train and passing room speed sign of the train station on the rear end of the freight train will give hand a lamp to the proceed signal. Train man and station man at the rear end of the passenger train will give the signal 16M with the rear of the train has passed the resumed speed signal. Alright, 10H, permanent speed restriction sign. Permanent speed restriction sign is prescribed and special instructions will be placed in sufficient distance in advance of the point where the speed restriction become effective. Figures in the face of this sign denote the maximum authorized speed of the trains and engine over the track protected with such signals except for the lower speeds prescribed in the train order, general order, and special instruction will govern. When the two sets of the figures are shown with the higher figures governing the passenger train, lower figures governing other trains and the engines. Prescribed resume speed sign will be placed at the point of where the restriction ends unless otherwise provided, but the prescribed speed restriction must be maintained until the entire train has passed the resume speed sign. The track unprotected by the such signs are defined in the territory between the two resume speed signs governing in opposing directions. Alright, 11. Fuses signal. A train with the engine finding of the fuses burning on one or near the track must stop when rules permit. The fuse must be extinguished after stopping. The train and engine will then proceed at the restricted speed for a safe flagging distance. Whether the sufficient sight distance, whether they are torpedoes or the respective signals, sufficient distances of stops and stops must be made with leading wheels passing the burning fuse. Fuses must not be extinguished when burning between two main tracks. When beyond first rail adjoining the main track, the requirements for the first two paragraphs of the rules will not apply to an unintended burning fuse. When displayed with both rails adjoining the main track, when train engine moving on the other main track, unless found between the rails of such track. On a single track, fuses should be placed at the drop into the shoulder and the track under the engine speed. Two main tracks on the outside of the field side, fuse burning reds must not be used for the hand signal, other stop signal. Burning fuse must not be placed on the road crossing of the bridges, nor where fire can be communicated to structures or cars, whether when located and when left unattended. Alright, 11A, torpedo signals. Torpedo signals must be placed on the rail 2 rail lengths apart on the each engine side. They must be placed on the public crossing nor left on the place where they may cause the injury. The explosion of 2 torpedoes is a signal immediately reduce speed, produce the safe flagging distance as required as restricted speed. The explosion of 1 torpedo will indicate the same 2, but the use of 2 is required. Hand flag lamp signal stop. Swung, the lamp or flag is swung at a right angle to the track. Reduce the speed. Slung horizontally. Movement at the arm's length at the right angle to the track. Proceed raised and lowered vertically. Back swung vertically in a circle at the right angle of the track. Apply the air brakes. Swung horizontally above the head when standing. Release air brakes. Held at arm lengths above the head when standing. Any object waved violently by anyone or near the track is a signal to stop. Alright, your hand flag lamp signals must be used in accordance with the rules. Trainmen, yardmen, and engine men concerned but must keep with a constant lookout for them. The giving signals must locate themselves as to be plainly seen, giving them so to be so plainly understood. That must carry most inscribed with the trainmen, yardmen, and engine men. Avoid taking signals that may be intended with the other train's engine men, unless the trainmen, yardmen, and engine men are positive the signals are given to the other. Therefore, they will not move the train of the engine until the communication is made with words. The backing of the shoving of the engine cars, disappearance of the view, employee light of which the signals are to be given must be constructed with a stop signal. When signals are given by hand flag of the lap, it cannot be plainly seen. The distance signal is to be conveyed. Reverse weather or other conditions, 5-minute green fuses may be used for the giving hand signals prescribed by this rule, unless otherwise provided. A hand or flag of lamp signal is proceeded does not modify compliance with other rule signals within restrict the movement of the train engine. Alright, 14. Engine horn whistle sign. The horn whistle must not sound prescribed by the rule of law. The horn must not sound as prescribed. Must be sounded as prescribed by the rule or law. Horn or whistle not be used unnecessarily. In case of the horn whistle failure, speed must not be reduced. Bell rung continuously approaching, passing through the station yards or a new the crossing of the grade and around the curves. Note: signals prescribed by the illustrated with a O for the short sound and a dash for the longer sound. The sound as a horn will be show the distance with the intensity, duration, preparation of the distance signal to be conveyed. All right, one short means apply the brake stop. Two dashes means release the brake and proceed with the running. Two longs release the brake, proceed when the running by acknowledgement of the calling on, indicating the train orders. One long dash, 3 short. Flagman go back and protect the rear of the train. One dash, flagman return to the south or the west, prescribed in Rule 99. 2 dash, flagman return to the east, prescribed and by the rule, or north or east, prescribed by the Rule 99. 2 short, answer 14K of any signal or not. And otherwise provided with a 2, answer the burning fuse and other signals indicated with the stop except fixed signal. 3 short, when standing back and answer 12 except with the continuous switching movements. When standing, answer to 16C, and when running, answer to 16D. 4 short, call for signals. One short, one long, 2 short. Call attention to engine and train crew for the same class inferior trains, the yard engines, and all other train order meeting the waiting point signal distance displayed following section. If not answered with the train displaying must stop at certain with the rule except with otherwise rules govern movement of the train's engines and block signals in effect. 2 more tracks to call attention of the engine train crew trains moving in the same direction. The yard engine signals displayed the following section to call attention for the engine train man crew the train moving in the same signal direction. Yard engines to signal display of the following section. That's 1 short, 2 long, 1 long, 2 short. 2 long, 1 short, 1 long. Approaching public crossing, public grade. Standard sign will designate the point of the signal must begin to prolong repeatedly until special prescribed crossing occupied by engine. The signal must be frequently sounded with warn the trackman, other employees view the restricted weather, observe obscure curves and other unusual conditions when they approaching tunnels and snow sheds. Alright, all longs. I don't know. I guess it's 4 longs. Approaching the station junction, railroad crossing, grade, drawbridges, mail cranes between the stations as may be required. 2 shorts, 1 long. 2 shorts, 1 long. After 2 long, 1 short. After passing the last station, approaching meeting waiting points, answer to 16.1 C Rule 7, signal track 90. 1 short, 1 long. Inspect the train line for leak of the brake and sticking. A succession of short sounds, allowing the person and livestock on the track. One long, one short. When running on the left main track, preceding signals prescribed in 14D and 14E. Alright, communication signals. Each of the car passenger trains must be commenced with the engine communication signal. When the communication signal becomes inoperative at the terminal station, the proper understanding must be handled between the conductor and engineer with other main members of the crew using the hand signals before proceeding. Alright, note that signals prescribed and illustrated is an O for short sound, dash for longer sounds. You obtain the desired result with the discharge valve that should be open wide. An interval of 4 to 6 seconds allowed to elapse between the discharge of air. Alright, 2 shorts when standing start, 2 shorts running stop at once, 3 shorts when standing back, 3 shorts when running stop at the next passenger trains, 4 shorts when standing applying and release the air brakes, 4 shorts when running reduced speed, 5 shorts when standing and recall the flagman, 5 shorts when running and shut off the train heat. 6 shorts, increase train heat to be on L to be sounded with the conductor after passing the last station approaching meeting with the waypoints. This signal must be answered by 14N. See rules signal track 90. 1 short when running look back of the hand signals notifying the engine train has cleared the restricted track or to notify the engineer air brakes has applied to release the rear end of the running test. Alright, headlights. The standard white headlights must be displayed brightly with the front of every train by the day and night. When the train turns out to meet another train, the standard headlight must be kept burning brightly until the train either is clear of the main track if it's dim while the turning is moving on the side. Entire clearing of the main track must be extinguished while the train has stopped entirely clearing the main track. An extinguished headlight does not relieve the train on main track for complying with the rules of single track 89A. It must be dimmed except when approaching the public crossing at the grade, approaching the passing head end of the rear end of the trains, and engines standing on the moving of the adjacent trains. 2. Approaching signals indicating train orders when standing on the main track waiting arrival of the opposing train and moving on the side or other main tracks on either clearing of the main track. That's your headlights. Outside the automatic block system territory. When the headlight is displayed by the train outside on the siding of the meeting point opposing the train must proceed at the restricted scene until the main track is seen to be clear. Winking or blinking headlights for any purpose is prohibited. Rule 17.4 and applied to both trains and engine yards and road. 17A, white oscillating heat. The engine equipped with a white oscillating headlight. It means the display at night and during the day when the weather conditions impair visibility. It must be extinguished when the standard white headlight is dimmed or extinguished. Alright, your red oscillating headlight. On engines equipped with a red oscillating headlight, such headlight will be displayed day or night when the train is stopped suddenly under the circumstances which adjacent tracks may be followed or when head end of the protection is required. Red oscillation headlight must be extinguished when no necessity no longer exists. A headlight burning red is a signal for approaching train on the same or adjacent track to stop before passing such a headlight and to be governed with the conditions. 17C, not relieve from protection. Display headlights does not relieve the engine man or trainman from protecting the train in accordance with Rule 99. 17D, running backward. When the engine is running backward, a white light must be displayed by night on the leading end. Alright, 17A, headlight failure. When the night and the standard white headlight en route fails en route, the white light must be used in place of the speed reduced. The bell rung continuously, whistle, horn, and sounded frequently for the train dispatcher notified. 17F, headlight yards engines. When the yard engine will display the standard headlight in front of the rear of the night, while not provided with a headlight at the right with the white light must be displayed. The headlight must be extinguished on the end of the coupled cars. Road engines without car, the standing of the moving on the other of the main track with the yard limits must be displayed with the white light leading on the trail ends. Alright, 18, oscillating red rear end lights. An oscillating red light displayed on the rear of the train headlight. The train signal following the train's same direction to stop for the trains moving in the same direction or adjacent track to move in restricted speed. It must be displayed when the train is stopped on the following main track. When the train is moving under circumstances, it may be overtaken to display the signal. It does not relieve the flagman from prescribed in Rule 99. Markers. The following signals will display at the rear of every train as markers to indicate the rear of the train, but not to indicate the track on which such train is moving or standing. By day, marker lamps are not lighted in place provided. By night, marker lamps lighting showing red at the rear of the green to the front side. If the train is not equipped with a display marker, the red flag of the day of the night, red light night light will be displayed to indicate the rear of the train. Yard and yard transfer must have a member of the crew with a white light at the rear of the night, unless equipped with a caboose, display light markers at the red light rear. 19A. Turner markers outside of the absolute blocks territory. When the train is clear, main track is passed with the following train lighted with the markers must be turned to show the green front and the outside of the rear. Before main track is followed, must be restored to display the rear, red of the rear. Red to the rear. When such markers display the red to the rear, following trains must be moved restricted speed until the main track is seen to be clear. Alright, 19. Removing markers. Unless otherwise instructed, markers must not be removed to terminate points until the train is clear of the main track and hand-operated switch closed and delivered with the yardmaster connecting crew. Two train signals green. All sections except for the last will display the two green flags by day. In addition, with the two green lights by night, two green lights only by day and by night when authorized. Special instructions in place provided with this purpose for the front of the engine. 28. Train signals white. Extra signal trains will display two white signals in addition with two white lights at night and then two light lights only by day and night, authorized by special instructions in place provided with for the purpose on the front of the engine. 20. Failure train signals. Except where the rules govern the movement of the train engine's block signals in effect when the electrical lights are prescribed in Rule 22 and 22A. Failure when the horn and whistle fails of the train displaying the signals prescribed in Rule 20. The train must stop and identify itself. The train must be passed. Upon arrival, the first available point of the communication reports must be made with the train dispatcher. 20. Train signals on the leading engine. When two or more of the engines are coupled, the leading engine only shall be displayed in signals prescribed in Rule 20 and 20A. With the leading of the engine only will give the answering signals. 23. Proper display train signals. One flag of the display of the Rule 19, 20, and 28. Two prescribed indicating the same of the two, but proper display of the markers train signals is required. 24. Observing train signals. Train men and engine men must see and know that the train signals prescribed in 19, 20, and 20A are properly displayed. That means your train signal green, white, and failure train signals. Train green, train white, and train signals for the leading engine. Your blue signal is displayed at one or both ends of the engine car. The train indicates a working man under or about it. When those protected, it must be coupled to or moved. Each glass of the workman provided with the blue signal on only the same workman authorized to remove. Otherwise, the equipment must not be placed on the same track as to intercept the view of the blue signals without first notifying the workman. When emergency repair work is to be done under and about the car train and the blue signal is not available to the engine, and the fireman will notify that the protection must be given to those engaged in making the repairs. 27. Imperfectly displayed signals. A symbol imperfectly displayed with the absence of signal at the point of the signal is usually shown must be regarded as the most restrictive indication that can only be given by a signal, except that when the indication plainly see will govern. Engine and train crews that are using switch with the switch light imperfectly displayed absent must be practical and correctly replace the light. And signal imperfect displayed absent of the signal at the place where the signal usually shown must properly be reported to the train dispatcher. Alright, 30. Ringing the bell. Except for when monetary stop at the standard forward, backward, and continuous stand switching to move the engine must be rung with the engine about to move and will approaching the public, passing or public crossing of the grade and station through the tunnels and snow sheds. Calling of a signal. All members of the engine and train crews must be practical, communicating to each other the name of the indication as signal affecting the movement of their train indication. Signal indications except for the audible signal must be seen before beginning communicated to each other. 34A. Keeping lookout. Engine must firemen and forward train men from practicable will keep the constant vigilant lookout of the signal. Any condition may affect the movement of the train and engine. Train engine must be observed the position of the train order signal. 35. 35 flag signal. The following signal will be used in flagman day signal. Red flag torpedoes and red fuse. Night signals are red light, white light, and white light torpedoes and red fuses. 35A trainmen must know that they are available at all times. Proper flagging indicating sufficient supply of fuses and torpedoes. Engine must know that they are available at all times, and proper flagman signals on engine, including sufficient supply of fuses and torpedoes. All right, superiority of trains.